It's been about 5 years now since the Rock Band and Guitar Hero franchises respectively went the way of the dodo, but now they're back, and in Rock Band's case the experience is the same as ever, both for better and for worse. Before I even started playing, I was enormously grateful to Harmonix for providing so much compatibility with legacy hardware. Even if, like me, you're more of a Guitar Hero guy, the game holds no prejudices and will let you use the overwhelming majority of your PS3 and Xbox 360 era guitars and drums from either series. Further still, if you've unearthed one of your peripherals to discover that a rat's chewed through it in the 5 years it's been collecting dust like I did, you can even crossbreed equipment, say using a guitar from Guitar Hero and drums from Rock Band. However, I must confess that the game's UK retail price of $49.99 still feels unreasonably steep for a title with a middling amount of content, and I couldn't help but wonder whether this £10 charge above the norm is helping subsidise the more luxurious band sets Harmonix are shilling. As for the game itself, Rock Band had me falling back in love with my ridiculous plastic instruments in mere minutes, even though it doesn't really move the series forward in any meaningful way for the current generation of gaming. In fact, in many ways it feels like a regression. For one, there's no sign of online multiplayer, which is especially problematic if, like me, your real life friends aren't really into these games. Plus, the game feels so engineered towards the local multiplayer experience, and rather understandably so, that solo players will often have to sit through silly voting menus like this. Still, I can testify firsthand that the Forever Alone experience is still a complete blast, with the lead guitar portion enjoying the most novel innovation. Solos have been replaced with freestyle sections where you can pretty much play whatever you want. These sequences, sometimes lasting several minutes, do make the game considerably easier as they cannot be failed and can provide you with a moment of rest just when your wrist is begging for it. But thankfully they can be turned off in the options menu if you're feeling especially masochistic. Using this setting, there are only 4 songs I couldn't finish on expert mode. Playing as bass guitar is sadly as mixed as ever. The songs on the lower end of the difficulty spectrum are almost hilariously easy, and even quite boring thanks to some long breaks in play without the freestyle and fill sections of the other instruments. Experienced players will effortlessly get through half the song list, scoring no less than 95%. It doesn't really feel like Harmonix went out of their way to find songs that were dynamic and fun to play on all 3 instruments. And I say 3 instruments because, let's be honest, most people only try singing when they've drunk an entire bottle of vodka. And yes, that was me failing the easiest song in the game. Few are probably going to dispute that this is among the weaker track lists of any Rock Band or Guitar Hero game, and though Harmonix are doing their best to make as many legacy songs available to players as possible, it does seem like a bit of a cop-out to let them off on this basis when the 65 on-disc songs are for the most part so average and forgettable. That feeling of immense satisfaction when you finally slay that brutal Judas Priest tune is still undeniable, but in tailoring its songs to such a broad audience, it lacks the powerhouse impact of earlier entries. The likes of Elvis and Imagine Dragons are arguably novel additions to the lineup, but it's hard to escape the feeling that they're taking the place of more recognisable rock classics. There are also some small technical blips which could do with being patched. The PS4 version of the game doesn't seem to recognise the instruments as controllers, and so it would frequently attempt to enter rest mode unless I press the X button on my PS4 controller. Using the PS4 controller to check trophies or your friends list would cause the game to sign out my guitar for no logical reason, and this gets particularly aggravating if you rack up an awesome score as guest, which sadly won't be saved to your system. Also, I advise PS4 owners not to leave the game in suspend mode, because in my experience this caused my Guitar Hero dongle to fail to communicate with the guitar correctly. Though the pricing is dubious at best, Rock Band 4 at least near guarantees hours upon hours of entertainment whether playing party or solo. Completing all 65 songs on numerous instruments will take upwards of 20 hours, and on top of that there's a vaguely amusing if relatively arbitrary career mode, which presents a branching choice system that requires far too much repetition of songs. In honesty, I had much more enjoyment just working my way through the songs in quick play mode. Rock Band 4 may not be the most convincing argument that the genre is back for good, but with impressive backwards compatibility options and Harmonix's promise that this is the only Rock Band game coming this generation, they've done a solid job convincing that they're not trying to nickel and dime gamers all that much. It's a welcome return to the fun, savagely addictive gameplay of previous titles, and though it doesn't really feel like much more than a song dump, it still delivers the basic goods. Rock Band 4 gets a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and I'll be here from dusk till dawn.